Hey everyone. So, I've just put a post out saying that I'm coming to the end of my very first conscious bleed. And I've asked if people want to know about this. I was originally going to write a blog post. However, I've decided and called to do a video. So, hey. So, let me think where to start with this. I'm going to start actually by expressing what I'm feeling doing this video right now, and I'm sensing a huge amount of shame. I can really feel that, like a tad of embarrassment sitting within there. I want to share that with you because, first of all, I want to be open and really honest about this, but I think that's due to the conditioning that we've experienced, or that particularly I've experienced. I'm going to own this, that I've experienced being a woman. Generally, we don't tend to talk about periods. It's just not the done thing. It's very embarrassing. All my periods here, I just want to bleed and not tell anyone about it and just hope that it goes really quickly. My first experience of shame to do with my bleed was when I was probably about 13, 14, when I went to the shop to go and buy some sanitary products. I didn't even know what to buy. And I just remember hiding them under my arm and going to the counter and being so embarrassed. So the reason why I'm doing this, the reason why I speak about periods so often, so much, is because I really want to reduce that shame and have this as an open forum for women to discuss their bleeds. Fuck it, we bleed. There's so much power in our menstrual cycle that I'm not going to go into today, but bleeding's one element of it, and it's like, do you know what, fuck it, yes, I bleed, and I'm sick of being embarrassed and I'm sick of feeling shameful, so this is why I'm doing the video as opposed to nice and neat and scheduled masculine part of typing it out so you can read it. So I'm sharing this. I am just coming to the end of my bleed, so it's all a bit crazy, it's all a bit feminine, it's all a bit chaotic, might not make sense in places, but fuck it, hey. So I'm going to start with this by telling you about a course that I'm doing at the minute. There's a lady called Jules Wingfield who is this magnificent woman. That's the only way I can describe her. She's a wild woman who is teaching me to rewild myself, to come back into my fullest authentic self, along with a group of other women that are on the course. And in module 1, we were told or asked to when our bleed comes round again to do it consciously. So I always thought that I consciously bled, at least in the last year anyway, when I've been working with my cycle. I always thought I consciously bled. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to drop into that and see what that looks like, really, to drop into it and to feel what elements come to me or what it brings about during my bleed. So I started, let me think where to start with this. So it was interesting because my cycles normally are 25 days long. Come 26, day 26 is when I bleed. However, this time I held on for 28 days and bled on the 29th, which then turns into day 1. And it was funny, my partner was staying with me, and it's kind of like my womb was waiting for him to go, to release, because as soon as he left on the Friday and as soon as he shut the door is when my bleed started. And I felt within my body this dropping sensation, this grounding, earthy drop is the only way to describe it, this earthiness of, okay, I'm ready, and almost like this release that came out of my womb. And along came with that, so that was the physical element, but the emotions were somewhat a kind of a paranoia. I didn't want to be seen at all. I was ready to lock myself away. And stay indoors. However, I run a business where I'm public facing, and it was Friday, and Friday's my busiest day of the week. And it was really interesting, because I just didn't want to be seen. And on Friday I was exceptionally emotional, more than any time during my bleed. I'm usually quite emotional, but this time I was very, very emotional. But whereas I'm usually full of, I want to say heightened anxiety, paranoia, jealousy, around day one, I was actually full of love and full of gratitude, mostly for the women that are in the women's circle that I share on Jules's course. And little things like, the tweeting of the birds. I'm not sure if you can hear it on this video, but the tweeting of the birds. And so day one, it was like I was aware of what was around me, and this sense of gratitude and an honouring. So I consciously decided that I wanted to bleed fully and openly and honestly on day one. So I rotated in some staff and decided to take the night off on Friday. Fuck it. That's my favourite thing at the minute. Fuck it. So I did that and decided to attend 5 Rhythms. I knew I was emotionally volatile, so I called upon my close circle of friends to that when I went to 5 Rhythms, and asked my brothers and sisters if they could hold me within that space. So I went to 5 Rhythms, and sure enough, they did, which was just amazing. As soon as I entered that space, I knew I was safe, and so I just broke down in tears. And instead of shying away from, I can't cry, this is a public space, this is embarrassing, I literally just dropped to my knees and cried, and sat by a big open window that's at the Hillsborough Pavilion, which is where 5 Rhythms is held on a Friday. And in front of it is this massive, massive oak tree, and just felt a huge connection with the nature, and it was so special. And then to have two of my very close sisters by my side, actually makes me feel really emotional now, because of the sense of gratitude that I have in this life, that I have. That just, it felt astonishing. And I then went home from 5 Rhythms and came into this space, my home. And what I would normally do during a bleed is stock up on junk food, chocolate in particular, Booja Booja ice cream. I'd bang on a Netflix film, and I think suppress those emotions. Whereas I knew this time I didn't want to do that. I want to really feel what's going on inside of me. So I was feeling quite restless come the Friday night, so and there was lots of feelings of anxiety, paranoia, jealousy, which does normally come on my bleed in day one, particularly to do with my partner. And instead of feeling unjustified or shaming of all of that, and thinking, are you crazy, Kim? Don't feel this. This is too painful. I literally went into my body, in my bed, in my safe space, put on lots of candles and lots of incense, rose incense in particular. That's my spirit herb, so I connected to that. And went into those feelings and where they are in my body. Now, the jealousy and the paranoia sits right within my chest. It's dirty and it's disgusting, and it just feels sticky and really icky and fucking horrible, if I'm really honest. And at that point, when I went to lay with myself and just really go with every heartbeat, I sensed that I was ready to consume my blood. So I went and took out my moon cup. I'm going to tell you details of this. Fuck it. I was going to kind of skim over this, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm ready to be open and seen about this whole process that I go through in terms of conscious bleeding. And what I do is in fact, I'm going to show you. fuck it, let's go for this. I have, so I'm not going to show you with my blood, but I have a very special glass. It's nothing in particular, but just feels very special to me. I love the dimensions on it. And I took out my moon cup. And what I do is I put this sieve on top. So if there are any clots or any bits in there that you don't want to drink, I just purely wanted the blood. I sieve that through there and the blood drops into here. And yeah, that's it really. So once I've got the blood in there, I get rid of the clots. My period blood's probably only about 10 mil. It's not a lot of blood. In I don't know if you know, but in Chinese medicine, the woman's cycle is essentially a life force. In men, it's their ejaculation, but in women, it's our menstrual blood. So the less we can bleed, the better for our bodies. And then so I have the blood, which is far less than 10 mil, maybe 2-3 mil, and then I mix it in with spring water and then spend time with that and gave it space and to really connect with what I was feeling at the time. So yeah, so I then drank, I feel this full up to here, up to the top, so drank half of my blood. And then went to bed, and the emotions that were flying out of me. So there was rage, there was anger, there was jealousy, there was paranoia, shame. There was, and then the rational brain started to kick in. What the fuck am I doing? This is crazy. And tossed and turned all night, couldn't sleep, crazy dreams, nightmares. That I was being chased, that there was a dark force around me, but within me was this purity, this light that I just knew was, that everything was right. My instinct, my intuition was that this was all right. And I was happy to hold myself and to feel everything. That jealousy, I just can't stress to you how much that it has gripped me all of my life, the jealousy. And when I'm in that phase, I wake up at a particular time. Now, so there's 3 particular times. It's either 5:01, 5:23, and recently it's been 5:44. This time it was 5:44 when I woke up from my disturbed sleep. And again, the rational brain was going, "You're crazy, what are you doing? This is insane. Don't do this." And that my partner's cheating on me and nobody loves me and my parents in particular don't like me and my friends are only with me because I have a business or all these things, all this inner critic stuff was going off and was getting stronger and stronger and stronger until I just journeyed into my body, into meditation, and sat within my heart and just said, "You're welcome here, I'm giving you space." I then journeyed down to my womb and said, "You're all welcome and I love you." And it was like a firework display went off. And at 6:36 specifically, I don't know why 6:36, I got up and went to the fridge where I'd kept the rest of my menstrual blood from the night before in the fridge and consumed the rest of my blood. And then went back to bed and the thoughts had subsided, so I managed to sleep for another, so I slept about 9:30, and peacefully and deeply and soulfully, I want to say. And then and awoke, I want to say, just feeling a little bit wiser. I can't say anything more specific about that, but I just arose at 9:30 and just felt a little bit more wiser and settled and grounded and more centered, which felt really nice. And then, so Saturday day, I met with some girlfriends of mine. One of them's pregnant, and it was just a joy to be around these women. It was amazing. And yeah, during the day, but was still feeling an immense amount of anger. Now, anger is an emotion that I've suppressed most of my life and haven't really done a lot with. So I'm still in the stage, it's still very new to me working with that emotion. So when it does erupt, it erupts like a wild volcano and just explodes everywhere. And so I was quite aware of that. And so, yeah, so then came Saturday evening, again, another really busy evening for me. And it got to about 8:30, which was quiet. And I said to my staff, you know what, I'm going to let you take over things. I need to go home. And yeah, I came home and felt great and really grounded. And then something just really bizarre happened. Now I'm going to tell you about this. I don't know the meaning of this stuff. I've not really quite processed what the hell happened, but that you can't see, but behind the phone is my gardens, and then behind there is a forest. And my dog Dingo, who's a wonderful adventurer, decided to jump over the next door's garden into the forest, and yeah, just went off into the forest. Now I could hear him barking and knew he was in trouble. So at the top of my neighbour's garden, I managed to find him, but he was stuck inside a badger set. I didn't realise it was a badger set at the time. I just thought he was stuck in a hole. And so I've got on top of the hole and pulled him out. And as I pulled him out, my leg has fallen into this hole. And then as I pulled my leg out of the hole, 2 badgers have come out. So it turns out he got stuck in a badger's set. And yeah, so I got hold of him. I didn't realise until I got home, and my leg was bleeding. So I'm not, I can only think I've been scratched by a badger. I don't know. But anyway, so the dog is safe. I was safe. However, had to go straight up to the hospital to get some tetanus injections and just have the wound cleaned out. And yeah, really crazy story. I get it. I need to process that some more. But so spent Saturday night actually in the Northern General, which was brilliant. Spent 4 hours in there. And yeah, not what I'd had planned for my conscious bleed. But again, came home. So it meant I was fasted actually. So I didn't eat on the Saturday night and and by the time I'd got home, it was 2:00. And again, so I took out my moon cup, did the whole process that I've explained to you with the glass and the sieve. And and again consumed half of the glass. Now my emotions when I went to bed last night were a lot less chaotic. I want to say actually that I felt mothered and nurtured, and almost like I was encapsulated within a womb. Energetically, that's how I felt. Physically, I felt quite tired. So again, consumed half of my blood. And I don't know how to describe last night, apart from it felt like I was on acid. So I was semi-conscious most of the night. And my dreams were so vivid and so real and very colourful. And my dream, there's one particular dream that it was a lot less. So the night before I dreamt a lot about dark forces being surrounded by me, whereas this time I was there was lots of water, and in my dream a very tiny, so small, but fully grown unicorn came to me and was so full of love and delight and nurture. It was honestly, it was the most beautiful thing, and it felt so real. And this unicorn sort of nuzzled up against me, and as the dream went on, it manifested that this was the love that was being manifested by the sisters within the initiation circle. And yeah, and I just awoke from this dream. Funny enough, I didn't wake up at my usual any 5 o'clock time, so that was really good. It felt really healthy. I woke up at 9:30, and all I can describe to you was this feeling of love. Like my heart was pouring out love, 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 love. And so again, the first thing I did, and again did it fasted, was consume the rest of my blood from the night before. And it actually felt too much. My heart was just pouring out with love, and I was just like, oh my God, you know, I want to feel surrounded by my sisters and in the initiation circle, but we live all over the country, so it's not possible. And so I went to the park and sat with my 2 dogs in the woods and connected with the earth. And whereas normally on Sunday morning when I walk to the park, you're usually confronted by grumpy faces, particularly when the weather's not so great. But it just seemed like everyone had such a brightness within them that was so beautiful, and each person, no matter how fed up they looked or whatever, I was just like, I just said good morning to everybody, and it was met with some smiles and good morning back, and it was just amazing. And then I've had to go to Office Outlet to go and buy some materials for a workshop I'm running this week. And the guy, as soon as I walked in, this is not normal customer service, was like, good morning, how are you? It helped me push my trolley around, whereas normally that would have been too much for me, but I was in a place to receive that immense beauty from another human being. And it sounds so small, but it was so big that I could receive that and feel an absolute connection with that person. And we got chatting around the store, and it was great. And he said to me, you know, God, you've made such a difference to me this morning, and it's not often that I'm received with such politeness. And yeah, and he said he often feels like he's too much for people. So yeah, and then that brings me home. And that's where I am today. So I'm still full of this immense love, and that's why I think I'm able to share this. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to discuss in terms of what I shared, get in touch. I would love to hear any experience of conscious bleeding, you know, what's it look like for you. If this has triggered you in any way, please feel free to share. Everything is welcome. So yeah. Mwah, much love and blessings to every single one that's watching this video. Thank you for taking the time. Mwah.